sorry. Computers. Where is it? Hi, everybody. Big shot, so what do you wanna pretend? You took the money, but the money couldn't buy a friend. And now I want you to leave me alone. You say the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't. You're a big shot here, but nobody else knows. Now I want you to leave me alone. Blind spot, take your best shot. Look at me. You'll fly a kite till you tangle me in true. Now I want you to leave me alone. You say the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't. You're a big shot here, but nobody else knows. Now I want you to leave me alone. Does anybody here like politics? 4 in the morning, but we're having such a late time. Harry with the dagger, the dollar sign. Aristocrat, tip your hat, break your mother's heart. And when the sun comes up, you'll find a brand new guy. A brand new guy. Now I want you to leave me alone. You say the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't. You're a big shot here, nobody else knows. Now I want you to leave me alone. Bernie Sanders, let's make some noise. AOC. the lyrics to my own song. Singing star, my God, I left you at midnight. Darling, I need, darling, I need, darling, I need, darling, I need you here tonight. You're all that I wanted, and it's so hard to look at the downside. I wanna listen to you whisper to me. I wanna watch bad American movies. I don't wanna get another kiss from you, baby, on my mind. It wasn't kind, it was kind of foreign. I put a pill in my cup every morning, and when I die, I'll put the smoke couple kisses on my eyes. And now I'm fighting for a look at the downside. Everybody, this is my friend Anthony. Make some noise for him. It took a moment to disintegrate. So curious about the noise you make in bedrooms. I don't know what I'll do, but we could find out soon. Darling, I need, darling, I need, darling, I need, darling, I need you here tonight. You're all that I wanted, and it's so hard to look at the downside. Darling, I need, darling, I need, darling, I need, darling, I need you here tonight. You're all that I wanted. It's so hard to look at the downside. I wanna listen to you whisper to me. I wanna watch that American movies. I don't wanna give another kiss to the baby on my mind. On my mind. It wasn't kind, it was kind of foreign. I put a pill in my cup every morning. When I die, I put the smoke couple kisses in my eyes. And now I'm fighting for a look at the downside. Well, thank you. It's nice to be here this evening. We're taking over the world, one kiss at a time. This one goes out to all the parents of the room. The city streets are empty now, and all the songs are way down low. The sound that flows into my mind from everything that is alive in my new world. I turned to stone when you were gone. I turned to stone. Turned to stone when you're coming home. I can't go home. The dying embers of the night still glow upon the walls so bright. The dying streets that hide away roll past my door into the day. In my new world, I turned to stone when you were gone. I turned to stone. Turned to stone when you're coming home. I can't go home. Turned to stone when you were gone. I turned to stone. When you turn to stone, if I ain't coming home, when you ain't coming home, if I'm turning to stone, you've been coming so long and I can't carry on this. I'm turning to stone. The dancing shadows on the wall are all I've seen since you've been gone. And so I sit here and I wait. You will return again someday to my new world. I turned to stone when you were gone. I turned to stone. Turned to stone when you're coming home. I can't go home. Turned to stone when you were gone. I turned to stone. Turned to stone when you're coming home. I can't go on. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming early. I kept hope alive so that I could be with you. Tried to bewitch your mind, but I let love die. How I failed, but oh how I tried. Darling, don't push me around. I wanna see you buried 6 feet underground. Fuck around and find out. I wanna see you, darling, 6 feet underground. 6 feet underground. Overemphasize all these grandstanding gaslights, black eyes and fist fights. I romanticize all this pretense was meant to misrepresent you. So don't push me around. a champagne shoulder, unexpectedly. Don't you push me around. No, I don't wanna see you buried 6 feet underground. Find out and find out. No, I don't wanna see you, darling, 6 feet underground. 6 feet underground. 6 feet underground. 6 feet underground. Thank you. All right, thank you so much for having us. We are, I don't know how, but they found me from right here in Salt Lake City. And we're very excited to be a part of this. Say hello to my friend Anthony one more time. Over here is my friend and yours, Isaac Paul. Ronnie Strauss on the drum set, everybody. And in a few minutes we got Bernie and AOC. We have been, I don't know how, but they found me. Or, if that's too many words for you, IDK How works just fine. Thanks again. This song is called Choke. Try and drag me into place. Lock the fire escapes. Oh, break your pretty face. Choke yourself to sleep. You get everything you want, and money always talks to the idiots and punks. Now shut your dirty mouth. If I could burn this town, I wouldn't hesitate. Just smile your while you suffocate and die. That would be just fine. But I know it's time that it would surely be. So bite your tongue and choke yourself to sleep. Now, Salt Lake City, come and sing with me. Oh, 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 oh. We all know where I learned this. you so much.
Why do I give valuable time Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sarah Buck.
Hello, Utah! I'm Sarah Buck. I'm with Salt Lake Indivisible, and we are so happy to see all of you. We're also thrilled to be welcoming Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm also going to give a shout out to the volunteers from Indivisible who are here today helping this event happen. And I want to thank all of you, every single person, for showing up. It has never been more important to show up. Because Utah's 6 Republican members of Congress are not showing up. They are not showing up for town halls, and they are not showing up to hold the middle and protect our Constitution. They are not doing their job. What they are doing is they are gutting our institutions and our services to give the wealthy more tax breaks. Republican members of Congress are allowing this president to govern by executive order, and that is not how America's government works. Congress was designed to be a check on the president's power, and they are not doing that. But in their absence, we, the people, have to hold the middle. We, the people, have to step up and step into this moment. At Salt Lake Indivisible, we have a mantra. It is action over anxiety. Say it with me. Say it with me. Action over anxiety. When you step in and take action, an interesting thing happens. You feel empowered. Doing this work brings courage. I'm going to give you some ways to take action. First, keep showing up. Keep showing up. These mass mobilizations will be a powerful and a strategic part of holding the middle. So keep showing up. Call your Republican members of Congress. Raise your hand if you have 5 calls out. If you haven't got it, get it. It makes it really easy to contact your members of Congress. There is a silver lining in this moment that we are in. Republicans currently control the House, the Senate, and the White House. But wait, all of this is on them. The price of eggs, the price of gas, the tariffs, the unemployment, the chaos. Don't overthink this and say, but presidents don't really control the price of gas. When Biden was president, they claimed that we controlled the weather. Let's point that narrative back at the Republicans. The mess they're creating is theirs. Make them own it. I want you to call and complain to them about how they are governing. Ask our senators, what is the plan for the Utah farmers who export alfalfa to China? Ask Governor Cox the same question, and your House member. Always close by asking for a town hall and for them to quit giving away their power. Number 3, use the power of your purchase. Support local businesses and boycott companies like Target, Chick-fil-A, Amazon. Use your power. Another very helpful app, Goods Unite Us, helps you to do this. And finally, donate to the organizations who are doing the work. Donate to fight oligarchy. Donate to the ACLU. Donate to the people who are doing the hard work. I need to tell you, and this is really important, this is not going away in 30 days. If you make calls for 2 weeks, you haven't done your job. You have to keep it up. This will be a sustained campaign. We do not have a chance to get back a lever of power until the midterm elections. So pace yourself, support each other, and do not lose hope. Please remember that hope is contagious, and your actions inspire others. Do not allow this moment to break your heart, but let it break your heart open so that you have the capacity to help those being harmed and to do this work. Thank you again for showing up, and I am so honored to introduce our next speaker. Michael Alosi is a RIFT federal employee, and of course, he worked in energy and sustainability. Let's give Michael a warm welcome.
Hey everybody, wow, not what I was expecting to be doing today. I worked for 16 years serving the American public fighting climate change. It was more than a career, it was my calling. A month ago, Doge riffed me. Not for my performance. As I see it, this administration simply could care less about the planet. So what did it look like from the inside? I would receive constant demeaning emails all the time saying I was lazy and unproductive, my job was unnecessary. I'd get deception and threats, bullying me to quit. My colleagues in programs were eliminated with no regard. They're liquidating everything and privatizing everything. At least now I'm free from the mental abuse. This hit my family hard. My ex-wife was also riffed. Her job, helping people access health care. Ironically, now we're scrambling to find health care for our 3 kids. Look, I'm not complaining about losing my job. I'm smart, I'm resourceful, I'll be fine. But I feel an obligation to tell you the big picture I see. Our country's under attack. This isn't about efficiency or saving money. The ultra-rich are just dismantling the safeguards that protect our democracy. The federal workers are in the way. If we're gone, there's no one left to check their power and stand up for you. Who will ensure corporations are honest? Food and water are safe. Our elections are fair. They don't care about you. They only know greed. You're just a number to exploit. Go read about Project 2025 and techno-libertarianism. Then you'll know what they're up to. But it's scary stuff. Try not to freak out. I'm so confused. I know so many amazing, caring people who somehow still support this. Protest, rally, speak up, yeah, but what we really need is to find a way to bridge that gap with those people who don't agree with us. And hey, I'm frustrated about this. I struggle with this topic, but we have to figure out a way. Don't preach, actually listen to what they're concerned about. Help them understand how this impacts them. We can't fix things without them. This isn't about right and left anymore. It's about right and wrong. Don't let these wannabe tyrants scare you. That's what they want. When you're scared, you can't think. We're Americans. We're tenacious. We don't back down to people who mess with us or try and take our rights. But they're moving fast, so hurry up. All right, next up is actually my neighbor, my friend, and my pharmacist, Benjamin Jolly.
The Oligarchs are at war with people that work for a living. I am a pharmacist. I'd like to tell you about how that war plays out in my world. So, I work at Jolly's Compounding Pharmacy, a pharmacy my grandpa started 70 years ago. That makes us the third oldest pharmacy in the state. I graduated from East High School right here in Salt Lake City. Now, Salt Lake City School District uses, for their pharmacy benefit management, a company called CVS Caremark. Last year, CVS convinced the school district that they would save money by telling all of the teachers, you have to go to CVS to get your prescription refills. This means that me, an East High School graduate, cannot get paid to care for the teachers that taught me the math and chemistry I use every day. This Monday, I billed CVS Caremark, and they said, we'll pay you 35 cents for this prescription for this patient. It was a month's supply of seizure medicines. And then they said, we'll take back 30 cents for our processing fee to process it through our computer. After my staff filled the prescription, and I checked the prescription to make sure it was safe and appropriate for the patient, my coworker delivered the medicine to that patient's home. For that level of care, CVS paid me a whole nickel. This Friday, I went to our drive-up window and talked with a woman who was getting her brand new prescription for a blood pressure medicine called losartan. This was her first chronic medicine. She has never had to take medicine before, and she was worried. So I took the time to talk with her and talk about the importance of this medicine. She recently found out that her blood pressure was measured at 195/120. That's crazy high. So she started this medicine, after I talked with her. And we talked also about what she could do with her diet and what else she could do to stay healthy taking this medicine. We talked for about 15 minutes. Her pharmacy benefit manager, OptumRx, paid me $0. And then told me to collect $6.63 from her. Last year, the Mississippi Board of Pharmacy audited her PBM, OptumRx, which is the division of United Healthcare, and found, yes, yes, when Mississippi audited them, they found that they pay their own pharmacies 27 times as much as mom and pops like Jolly's. As a result of this corrupt, self-dealing behavior by Fortune 10 companies, just since January of last year, 3,178 pharmacies have closed nationwide. Hundreds of thousands of Americans now have to drive more than 30 miles to the nearest pharmacy or hope that mail order will come on time and undamaged. You may have noticed here in Salt Lake that you go into an IHC clinic and there's no longer a pharmacy there, just an empty shell where there used to be one. During the last Congress, the Senate Finance Committee unanimously passed legislation that would have reformed some of the worst of these pharmacy benefit manager abuses. In December, it was included in the budget package, and I started to get hopeful that pharmacists like me would see change. And then, Elon Musk started tweeting that the bill was too long. The next day, his tweet was, "What is a pharmacy benefit manager?" You should be able to go to the doctor of your choice, not just the clinic that your insurance company owns. You should be able to go to the pharmacy of your choice, not just CVS. It should be illegal for CVS to be in charge of paying pharmacies when they are the biggest pharmacy. It should be illegal for United Healthcare to tell you which doctor to go to and be in charge of paying doctors when they employ 100,000 physicians today. We need to break up big medicine. If you agree with me, go to breakupbigmedicine.com and join my fight. Thank you. Our next speaker is Caroline Gleich, professional ski mountaineer, environmental advocate, and former Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate for Utah.
Hello, Salt Lake City! Hello, Utah! Now take a moment, look around. This is Utah Rising. I'm Caroline Gleich. I'm an athlete, advocate, proud Utahn. I'm so honored to be here with you, and seeing this turnout gives me chills. And how amazing is it that Bernie and AOC are here with us in Utah? And they are here because they're here because Utah is changing. The people currently in power see it and they're nervous. They're getting scared because this is the new era of people-powered politics. So last year, I did something that really scared me. I ran for United States Senate. And it was honestly one of the scariest things that I've ever done, which says a lot because I've climbed the highest mountains in the world and I've skied the steepest mountains here in the Wasatch. But I ran because I saw our state and country going backwards. I saw our Utah leaders deciding to ban books and pride flags. Well, doing that while letting hate symbols go unchecked. I saw them silencing voters through rigged maps. I saw them blocking workers from organizing, selling our public lands, and policing. They're policing what bathrooms we go to while we breathe toxic air. Our Utah leaders, our government is literally in the toilet. And that is not democracy. That is authoritarianism in disguise. And growing up, I grew up in a frugal household. I wore my brother's hand-me-downs. I learned how to sew clothes. I juggled multiple jobs, and like so many of you, I've known what it's like to fear that an injury or illness or deciding to become a parent could cost you your job. And that's not freedom. That's not freedom. That is not the American dream that we were promised, because the real American dream is simple. If you work hard, you should be able to breathe clean air. You should be able to see a doctor. You should be able to afford to buy a home. And you should be able to retire with dignity. That is the promise we are fighting for. But instead of that, we've got billionaires and extremists like Donald Trump and Mike Lee. And they're treating our lives like line items, gutting Medicaid, gutting our federal workers, cutting taxes for the rich, and letting polluters poison our air and water while Utah families pay the price with their health. And they think that our public lands, our treasured places, are bargaining chips to fund billionaire tax cuts. But do we have a message for them? Our public lands are not for sale. Let's hear it again. Let's hear this again, and this time let's do it together. Our public lands are not for sale. Yes. And our democracy, they want to auction that off too. And in 2024, just 100 wealthy families spent $2.6 billion buying our elections. But we've got a message for them about that too. Our democracy is not for sale. One more time. Our democracy is not for sale. Yes. Now, this movement is not about left versus right or red versus blue. This is people versus power, communities versus the corporations, the many versus the greedy few. And here is the truth. Look around. We are the power. And just like Utah families do when they balance their checkbooks, we can balance our federal budget without cutting Social Security, without cutting Medicare and Medicaid. And we can do that by finally making billionaires pay their fair share. We can get big money out of politics and send a message loud and clear. If you sell us out, we will vote you out. But now is our moment to run for office. Whatever experience and background you have, you are qualified. It is needed in politics and government today. You all have the qualifications to run for office. Please really think about it. We have to contest every single race up and down the ballot, every county in Utah. We cannot let Republicans run for any seat unopposed. We can donate, volunteer, and please get involved with local politics and nonprofits. And tonight I have a huge ask for you. Tonight, before you leave, please, if you haven't signed the referendum to protect Utah workers, there are circulators with clipboards. There's about 50 circulators here. Take a moment. If you haven't signed, find a circulator with this clipboard and sign the referendum to repeal HB 267. And together, we can reclaim the American dream, and not the billionaire version, the people's version, a future worthy of our dreams, our children, and our planet. And you all give me hope. Look at this turnout. This is incredible. You give me fire. And we're just getting started, because Utah is about to become the battleground state of the future. So when I say Utah, you say Blue-Taw. Utah. Utah. One more, Utah. So many underestimate us and underestimate our states. But as a 5'2" woman, I know what it's like to be underestimated. I know what it's like when people tell you that your dream is too big and impossible. But when they say change in Utah is impossible, we say, watch us. And now we're going to hang tight, because in just a few minutes, we will be welcoming Bernie and AOC up to the stage. Okay. So now it is my immense honor to introduce someone who has challenged the establishment. She deeply inspired my journey to run for office. She spoke truth to power, and she won. Utah, let's make some noise for the one, the only, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Woo!
Change this country? Good, because it starts in places like Salt Lake City. Thank you.
It is incredible, incredible to be here tonight with you all. You know, I love you too. We're actually seeing that our numbers tonight looks like we've got 20,000 people here tonight. We've got 5,000 people outside who just want to be part of this moment. So thank you all so much. And I want to thank each and every one of you for taking and making the effort of being here today, for taking the time out of your days in order to show up here tonight. So thank you. My name is Alexandria. Some of you may know me as AOC. And we are all here together because we share the frustration and heartache that comes from watching those in power actively tear down or refuse to fight for everyday working Americans like us. And we're here because an extreme concentration of power, greed, and corruption is taking over this country like never before. Oligarchy in America. And we must acknowledge the terrifying moment that we are in right now, and that what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes is, in fact, happening. We are watching as our neighbors, students, and friends are being fired, targeted, and disappeared. It is real. People we love are being targeted and harassed for being LGBTQ. Our coworkers, U.S. citizens and immigrants alike, are being disappeared off the street. Educators are being fired for teaching American history accurately. And activists are being detained with no charge or evidence for using their First Amendment rights, especially if they are using them to try to end the war in Gaza. In fact, the Trump administration admits that it has jailed a young father and husband, Mahmoud Khalil, without any evidence or charge of a crime. And they admit that they have thrown him in a cell thousands of miles away from his family in New York because he attended a protest, and are detaining him for the content of his speech and nothing more than that. But let's be clear, Utah. Donald Trump's detention of Mahmoud Khalil for his speech is anti-American. And we demand his release, along with the release of Rumaisa Ozturk, who he is also jailing for writing an op-ed in her school paper. And we demand this, Utah, because we do have power in this moment. All of us do, you do, and everyday people do. And it will never be just institutions and officials alone that uphold our democracy. It will always be the people, the masses, who refuse to comply with authoritarian regimes, who are the last and strongest defense of our country and our freedoms. Because we know that a better world is possible, and we are willing to do something about it. But to get there, we must be honest about how we got to where we are right now. Because this moment didn't come out of nowhere. It has been a long time coming. The destruction of our rights and our democracy is directly tied to the growing and extreme wealth inequality that has been building in America for years. It is not a coincidence that billionaires like Elon Musk dumped billions into this election to elect Donald Trump. And he sure isn't doing it out of charity. For years, we have known that our political system has slowly but surely become dominated by big money and billionaires. And time after time, we've seen how our government and laws are more responsive to lobbyists than to the will of everyday people. And we also know that the agenda of dark money to keep wages low and loot our public goods to give to the rich is deeply unpopular with the people of all parties. But just look at what Republicans have been quietly doing in Congress, voting to advance cuts on hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicaid and veterans benefits so that they can take that money and give it to the billionaires in the form of tax cuts and sweetheart deals to billionaires in companies like SpaceX. And you know who from Utah voted for that, by the way? Both of your senators, Mike Lee and John Curtis. And Salt Lake City's own House members, Blake Moore and Celeste Malloy. And they know, Utah, that that's not what you want. They know that it is deeply unpopular. They know that it hurts working families from Utah. But they know that they are not there to serve the working class. They are there to serve themselves and the billionaires who paid them. But they also know that the only chance they have to get away with such an unpopular agenda is to stoke deep divisions along race, identity, and culture to keep us fighting and distracted from one another. And this has been the big money playbook, not just now, not just today, but it has been for decades. And that is why Donald Trump is not an aberration. He is the logical, inevitable conclusion of an American political system dominated by corporate and dark money. And if we are to defeat him, Utah, we must defeat the system that created him. We are at a crossroads in America. We can either have extreme and growing wealth inequality with the toxic division and corruption that it requires to survive, or we can have a fair economy for working people along with the democracy and freedoms that uphold it. Oligarchy or democracy, but we cannot have both. I grew up in a working class family. My mom cleaned houses, and my dad worked to build a small business. My parents worked themselves to the bone so that my brother and I could just have a shot. The American dream. And for a moment there, it looked like we were going to make it. We had a home, bills were getting a little less stressful to pay, and I was doing well in school. But what may have looked like a modest life to others was a dream come true for us. But suddenly, when I was a teenager, my dad was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. And after a long fight, we lost him. And he actually passed away in September of 2008, just as the economy crashed in the Great Recession and millions of jobs across this country vanished. It felt like the world of our family fell apart as the larger world was falling apart too. And overnight, my mom was left to figure out how to provide for 2 kids by herself, put them through school, keep our house, pay off my dad's medical bills, all on a house cleaner salary. And that's how I became a waitress, because it was millions of innocent working families who paid the price while the billionaires and thieves who defrauded our financial system got off richer than ever before. And not a single one of them went to jail. And you know what, Utah? That is the story that Republicans mock. Not mine, but all of ours, when they say that a waitress or working person is unqualified to serve in Congress. But the fact is, many of us are far more qualified to know what real life is actually like than any of them ever will. And I tell this story not because it is special, but because of how common and normal it is. While the details may differ, so many of us know what it feels like for life to be one bad day, one bad piece of news, one major setback, from everything feeling like it's going to fall apart. And we don't have to live like this anymore, Utah. We can make a new world, a better country, where we can fight for the dignity of all people. And it looks like living wages, Utah. It looks like stable housing, Utah. It looks like guaranteed health care, Salt Lake City. And it looks like respect for all of our differences, no matter who we are or where we come from. Oligarchy or democracy. And we are here today because we choose democracy. We choose freedom. And that means that we choose to out-organize the oligarchy. We will do away, and we must do away with the power of big money. And that is why, even as a waitress, with a long shot campaign, I decided that day that I would never take money from lobbyists or corporations, and I never will. And when I got to Congress, I was genuinely shocked by how the place worked. Even having run against dark money in the first place, the everyday influence of corruption was astonishing. We have somehow conditioned ourselves to believe that it is normal for members of Congress who swore an oath to the people to somehow day trade individual stocks and make millions with the sensitive information we are entrusted with to serve. How, I ask you, can anyone possibly make an objective vote on healthcare, energy, or war when their personal money is tied up in pharmaceutical companies, oil companies, or defense company stocks? You can't. And we saw this play out this week with Trump's corrupt and disastrous tariff scheme. And I hope that we can see now that Trump's tariff scheme didn't have anything to do with manufacturing like they claimed. It was all about manipulating the markets so he could quietly enrich his friends who bought the dip before reversing it all in the morning. All while our seniors and retirees suffered. Salt Lake City, this is a matter of fact. Donald Trump is a criminal. He was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud. Of course he is lying and manipulating the stock market too. He makes himself rich, the billionaires who back him rich, and the members of Congress who collude with him rich, but not you or us or any working person in this country. And to be clear, I don't care what party you are, Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter how powerful or what position you have. Members of Congress holding and trading individual stock is wrong. It is corrosive, it is destructive, and it must be banned. And you can run the tape, because I have always held this position, whether it was Democrats or Republicans in charge. And I'll give you another example of something that's shocking when I got to Congress. Just this year, I was named to the Energy and Commerce Committee. This is one of the most powerful committees in all of Congress. And for years, lobbyists fought to keep me off it. In no small part because I believe in Medicare for all. And because lobbyists don't like what they don't control. And an interesting thing happened the day that it was announced that I was put on that committee. Our phones and the phones in my office rang off the hook. Our inboxes exploded with emails from virtually every corporate lobbyist under the sun. All of a sudden, they wanted to be friends. But you know what, Salt Lake City? Because of you all, because of your support, because you all show up, because you allow me to not take a dime in corporate money, you free me to say no. And we can free others to say no too. I've seen how these groups bully members of Congress. They threaten to take money away or threaten to spend it against them if they don't do what they want. And what they want is for our lives to be as expensive as possible on the lowest possible wage. And it trickles down to how life feels for working people today. But I want us to understand that this constant pressure that we feel in our lives, of the water rising up to our throats, the impossibility to afford anything easily, the fear of speaking up or being who we are in public, the bitter divisions driven more by online algorithms than the truth, the crumbling of our rights and protections. Understand that this, right now, is what it feels like to be governed by billionaires. This is what oligarchy feels like, not someday, right now. The first step is for us to open our eyes, because of course it is a system that depends on division to enable inequality that will result in a president who is best at dividing us and most skilled at corruption. And it will also reward the Republicans in Congress who support that agenda no matter what crimes are committed. Big money is how we got Donald Trump. His whole presidency began with launching tools for bribery, meme coins and cryptocurrencies to fleece normal people and move money in the dark, extortion settlements from media companies and law firms who gladly pay the price, removing duly elected officials from the inauguration, even Republican ones, to make room for the unelected billionaires who sat right behind him. They have one central economic mission: to make billionaires richer at the expense of the United States of America. And it does not surprise us that their first economic mission has been to target Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, firing our federal workers and cutting benefits from our veterans for hundreds of billions of dollars so that they can hand that money off to the wealthiest. And Utah, I know that it can look or feel impossible sometimes out here for the Republicans to be defeated. But that is not true. It is simply not true. From the waitress who is now speaking to you today, I can tell you impossible is nothing. Miracles start with the faith of mustard seeds. And that is what each and every one of you represent today. Small miracles of faith in ourselves, in each other, and in the refusal to give up. Because we are here for the long haul, Utah. We are here for the school boards and the community associations, for the small business groups and town councils, for public art and gestures of inclusion, and we will build from there until we flip the seats in Congress, until we take back the Senate right here in this very state. So you know what that means. We start working now, we start working small, and we will defeat Celeste Malloy and Blake Moore and give them the boot. And we will replace them with a brawling Democrat who fights for the working class. They are out there. Maybe you're right here in this stadium today. Because this, Utah, is the path to guaranteeing health care to every American, to establish a living wage, to tackle skyrocketing rents and mortgages, to take on the climate crisis, and establish a country where the American dream is possible for all of us. So I will end where I began. We might all come from different places, but we share many of the same experiences. So to all of those who came here today unsure of whether or not this is where you belong, I want to say that you do. No matter if you have all the right words to say, no matter your race, religion, gender identity, or status, no matter even if you disagree with me on a couple of things, if you are willing to fight for someone you don't know, you are welcome here. If you are willing to fight for working people regardless of who they are, you are welcome here. Because here everyone is valued. But we have to stand together. We cannot be tempted to turn in our neighbors or be fooled into thinking that we really are that much different than a trans or queer kid who just wants to be accepted. We can't be fooled into thinking that we're that much different than a dreamer who strives for a better future and to fulfill the American dream. Hate is a trap that sinks us all. And it is standing together, without exception, to reject division that is the only way that we can win. So I hope you see that this movement is not about partisan labels or purity tests, but it is about class solidarity. It's about you, the thousands of you who came out today to stand together and say our lives deserve dignity and our work deserves respect. And so we are here today to make a sacred promise to one another, and that is to take care of each other on our worst days and to share in the successes of our best. Thank you, Salt Lake City. And now it is my honor to introduce a friend, a companion, someone who has worked so hard to bring us all together and make today possible. Everyone, please put your hands together for Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you, Utah!
Thank you. You know, Alexandria mentioned a moment ago that we were in LA yesterday. We had 36,000 people out. But in many ways, the 20,000 we have out today is more impressive. And we're here in so-called conservative Utah, and tomorrow we're going to be in Idaho. Because we believe that in every state of this country, people are prepared to stand up and fight back. Now, I want to say a word about my daughter. No, I want to say a word about Alexandria and why what she's doing is so important. And here's the story. 6 years ago, 6 years ago, what were you doing for a living? She was a waitress. But she looked around her and she saw a society that was fundamentally unjust and in many ways ugly to the people in the community in which she lived in New York City. She stood up and took on one of the most powerful people in the House of Representatives. And she started with almost no money against the guy who had unlimited funds, and she beat him. Okay. Now, why do I tell you that story? It's not just to talk about Alexandria. The point that I am making is that in this arena of 15,000 people, there are hundreds of Alexandrias. There are hundreds of Alexes and Joes and Marys and Cynthias. And all across this country, we are going to need people to go outside of their comfort zone. Because the establishment, man, they are smart. They are so smart. And one of the smartest things they do, one of the most effective things they do, is to say to all of you and working people all over America, hey, we got the money, we got the power, we own it all, you ain't nothing you're going to do about it. And a lot of people sit back and they say, what am I going to do? Can't do nothing. All right, my boss is going to fire me, this, that, and the other thing. And that is the mindset we have got to break through. But it's not AOC and it's not Bernie. It is you. You don't need leaders. We need a mass movement of millions of people. Now, the reason that Alexandria and I have been running around the country is because, as all of you know, and she so eloquently stated, We are living in the most dangerous moment in the modern history of this country. And I really, especially for the young people, I wish I could not have to tell you that, you know, but it is just simply true. We are living in a moment where a handful of billionaires control our government. You know, for many years I have been talking about oligarchy in America, and people say, well, you know, Bernie is just giving a speech. But anybody, I have to thank, you know, Trump for educating the American people about what oligarchy is. You know, we can talk about it as an abstraction, but when Trump gets inaugurated and standing right behind him, and I had the remarkable, unreal, surreal experience of being in the front row, just like you guys are. I got pushed into that, I don't know how, but there I was. And there's Trump taking the oath of office, and right behind him are the three wealthiest people in America. Mr. Musk, Mr. Bezos, and Mr. Zuckerberg. And if that is not enough to make you understand that we're living in an oligarchy, right behind them were 13 other billionaires that Trump had nominated to head up major federal agencies. And then it's not only that we are living in a oligarchy and have a government of billionaires. I mean, that's bad. You know, I was thinking recently, I wish that I had been a better student in the 6th grade of American history. But I remember, and many of you will remember, Abraham Lincoln in 1863 in Gettysburg. Remember what he said? That's what he said. He was looking out on the field, the battlefield. He had come there just a few days after the terrible battle where 20,000 Union soldiers fighting slavery, fighting to end slavery, had either died or been wounded. 20,000 soldiers. And he looked out on that field. And this is what he said. He said that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. And then remember what he said? And that government of the people shall not perish from the earth. And that's why we're here. We do not want a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. We want a government that represents all of us, not just the 1%. We don't want the richest guy on earth running all over Washington, D.C., throwing tens of thousands of dedicated federal workers out on the street, slashing the Social Security Administration so that elderly, disabled people are going to find it really hard to get the information they need to access Social Security. We don't want Mr. Musk and his friends proposing to lay off 83,000 employees at the Veterans Administration. We believe that the men and women who have put their lives on the line to defend this country deserve the highest quality health care. We don't want Mr. Musk and his friends running around slashing USAID. You know, some of the proudest things I think we feel is when we know our government has done things to help the poorest people on earth, children who would die of preventable diseases. That's what makes us a great country. And what makes all of this stuff even worse is that all of these cuts to Social Security, to the VA, to USAID, et cetera, they are designed to do one thing, and that is to give massive tax breaks to the top 1%. At a time when our healthcare system is already broken. They want to cut Medicaid by $880 billion. They want to cut nutrition programs for hungry kids so they can give Mr. Musk and the other billionaires a huge tax break. The power of the billionaire class exists not only in the economy. Today we have an economy with more concentration of ownership than we have ever had in the history of this country. You know what that means? It means that in sector after sector of our economy, a handful of large corporations control what's produced and how much you pay for those products. And that is why, in many instances, prices are so high. But they control not only the economy, they also control our corrupt campaign finance system. Now, I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it for a second, and you tell me, and I don't care if you are a conservative Republican, a progressive, an independent, moderate, whatever you are, you tell me. You think it is appropriate in this, the longest standing democracy on earth, that one man, Mr. Musk, could donate $270 million to elect Trump as president, and then get rewarded by getting the most important and powerful position in government? But I have to tell you, it's not just Musk and Republicans, that corruption exists in the Democratic Party as well. Billionaires in the Democratic side make huge contributions. And there is a reason why for too many years and for too many candidates, Democrats have not had the guts to take on powerful special interests. I want to say something else, and that is, I want to say a lot of things, actually. You know, I am not somebody who is, I am proud to be Jewish, but I'm not into organized religion very much. But, I do believe in moral values. Believe in that a lot. And I do believe, Christ's Sermon on the Mount, what did he say? He said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And it turns out that that principle, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, exists in virtually every religion on earth. It exists in Judaism, it exists in Islam, it exists in every religion. Treat people in the way that you would want them to treat you. Be decent to other people. Be kind to other people so they will be kind to you. And I know that in Utah and in Vermont and all over the country, there are millions, tens of millions of people who believe that, who try to do the right thing, try to be decent, try to be humble, try to respect the rights of other people, try not to be bullies. Millions and millions of people hold that ethos very, very strongly. But I do want to say that in terms of the oligarchs in this country, they are also very religious people. But they have a strange religion. Their religion is greed, greed, and more greed. All over this country, we have a very serious problem in Vermont and all over this country about addiction, right? People addicted to drugs, people are drinking too much, all types of addiction. These people, the oligarchs, are addicted to greed. Our job is to help them break that addiction. We cannot continue to live in a country where billionaires will step on people, take food away from hungry children in order to give tax breaks to people who don't need it. I happen to believe that we are more human, we live more fulfilled lives when we try to help other people, not step on other people. But brothers and sisters, we're not just fighting oligarchy. We're fighting a president who undermines our Constitution every day, who threatens our freedom of speech and assembly, and whose agents are rounding up innocent people off the streets, throwing them into unmarked vans, and bringing them to detention centers in this country and abroad. That is what takes place in dictatorships, not in America. We will not allow them to continue to do that. The founding, I find myself trying to remember my history lessons. Should have done better in history. But I think back to the founding of this country. And let me tell you, the founding fathers of this country were no dummies. They remember the history. You're talking about the 1780s. They had just fought a war, an impossibly difficult war, where they defeated the King of England, the most powerful person on the planet. Let's hear it for George Washington. But anyhow, these guys had taken on an autocrat. And they sat and they sit around and they said, all right, what do we want in our new country? what we wanted. And what they said is, we don't want any one person to have all of that power. So they dealt with the Federalist Papers and all that stuff, and they came up with this kind of brilliant idea of a separation of powers. All right? They said we're going to have a legislative branch, Congress, House, and Senate. We are going to have a executive branch, the president. We're going to have a judiciary, the federal courts. And each one will have check on each other. And what I want to tell you, and I don't need to tell you, I think you're seeing it every single day. You have a president who is working overtime to take power away from the Congress. You got a president who is working overtime to take power away from the federal courts. Now, it is unprecedented. You know, no president, no member of Congress wants to see a Supreme Court or any court rule against him or her. We don't like to see that. And I will tell you that we have seen in the last 20 years with the Roberts Court horrendous decisions on Citizens United and Roe versus Wade, terrible decisions. But we understand that we live in a rule of law. What Trump and his friends are doing now is they're saying, oh, a judge ruled against us. A judge said we can't do something which is unconstitutional. Let us get rid of that judge. Let us impeach that judge. So in other words, you take power away from Congress, you take power away from the judiciary, and also you got a president who really does not like to be criticized. So he is sued. I mean, this is, again, unprecedented. He has sued ABC, CBS, Meta, the Des Moines Register. The Des Moines Register did a poll he didn't like. They are suing him. They are investigating right now PBS and NPR. So you add it all together. And what I would say to Trump, if you cannot take criticism, get out of the political process. This is a democracy, and criticism is an essential part of that democracy. And I'll tell you something, and again, this is scary stuff. What Trump has done is gone after major law firms. You're familiar with this. He's gone after major law firms who had opposed him in the past, opposed him or his friends. And what is really disgraceful is that a number of these law firms whose job it is to defend the rule of law, they have caved in to Trump in order to get their millions and millions of dollars in government contracts. And he's going after universities. The function of a higher university, an education in general, is the pursuit of truth, wherever that takes us. And we are now seeing, really sadly, major universities changing their curriculum in order to appease Trump and hang on to their federal grants. Founding fathers of our country waged a war for democracy. We believe in democracy. We are not going to let Trump take us into an authoritarian society. But it is not just domestic policy that we should be concerned about. For the first time in our 250-year history, we have a president who is aligning us with a terrible dictatorship in Russia. No, Mr. President, Ukraine did not start that war. Putin and Russia did. And we're not going to sell out the people of Ukraine for Trump to make some partnership with Putin. But it's not just Ukraine, not just Ukraine. I very strongly opposed the Biden administration when they provided billions of dollars to the extremist Netanyahu government. Israel, like any country, has a right to defend itself against terrorism. But it does not have the right to wage an all-out war against the Palestinian people in Gaza. This is a war that has already killed in an area of 2.2 million people, has killed 50,000 people, has injured over 110,000, 60% of whom are women, children, and the elderly. And to make a bad situation even uglier, Trump has now decided that he wants the United States to dispel, to get rid of all of the people in Gaza so he can build a Riviera for his billionaire friends. That is beyond insane, and we're not going to allow that to happen. Let's take a moment to do something that is not often done in the media, in the corporate media, or in the halls of Congress. And that is to tell the truth about what goes on in America today. And here it is, in a nutshell. On one hand, you have the people on top who have never, ever had it so good in the history of America. Mr. Bezos, Mr. Musk himself, listen to this. One man owns 5 times more wealth than the bottom 50% of American households. He is worth $340 billion, while the bottom 50% of households are worth $63 billion. The top 1% in America now owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. And CEOs of major corporations now earn 300 times what their workers make. Now that is one America, and it's an America where these guys really are separated from the reality of American life. They fly around in their own jets. They own their own islands. They send their kids to exclusive schools. They have nannies. They live in their very separate world. That's one world. And then there is another world. And in that other world, in the richest country in the history of the world, 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck. Does everybody here know what living paycheck to paycheck is about? Are some of you living paycheck to paycheck? Well, I know a little bit about it because I grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck and grew up in a rent-controlled apartment. And let me tell you what living paycheck to paycheck is about. It is wondering what happens when your landlord raises your rent. It is wondering what happens when your kid gets sick and you can't take her to a doctor. It is wondering what happens to you when you can't afford the outrageous cost of prescription drugs. It is wondering what happens to you if your car breaks down. Think about this. If your car breaks down and the mechanic says it's $1,000 to fix the car, you don't have $1,000. What do you do if you don't have that $1,000? You can lose your job. You lose your job, your whole life is shattered. That's living paycheck to paycheck. And you know what the reality of all of that is? And I want you to hear this. As a nation, despite spending so much on health care, we live about 4 years shorter lives than the people in other countries. But here's something that is very rarely discussed. If you are working class in America, you will live a 7-year shorter life on average than the rich. Why is that? Primarily stress. It's trying to figure out every single day, 365 days a year, how you're going to survive, how you're going to pay the bills, how you're going to take care of the basic necessities of life. And you do that day after day, week after week, year after year. It takes years from your life. So you got an American economy today, people on top, never had it so good. Working class people, 60% of whom live in paycheck to paycheck. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands people living, working on for starvation wages. In America today, the richest country in the history of the world, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major nation. In America, the wealthiest nation on earth, 22% of seniors are trying to get by on $15,000 a year or less. Half of older workers have nothing in the bank as they face retirement. Now, way back when, I'm a little bit older than most of you, I had the honor of being in Washington, D.C. in 1963 to hear Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I was there, not up here, but way, way, way in the back, huge crowd, hearing him speak about racism in America and the need to end racism. And the good news is that over the last number of years, we have made progress. Not enough, but we have made significant progress in ending racism in America. Not so many years ago, there were 2 women in the United States Senate. Today, there are well over 20, and there are... There were no women governors. Today there are many. Back then, hundreds of women died every year because they could not access a legal abortion. We have made some progress, but that struggle still continues. Women have the right to control their own bodies, not the government. And I can remember as a kid that anybody who was gay, they never talked about it. They never made that public. They suffered in silence. And the idea then, oh, we need a medic here. Can we please get somebody here? All right. Okay? All right. I think she okay? Okay, good. Thank you all. What I was saying is it wasn't so many years ago, so many decades ago, where people who were gay had to keep it to themselves, and they suffered in their silence. And the dream, the idea of gay marriage was something almost inconceivable. All right, my point in saying these things is that over the decades, we have made progress in a number of important areas. We've made progress in combating racism, made progress in combating sexism, made progress in combating homophobia. But there is one area where not only have we not made progress, but we have lost ground. And that is the economic struggle facing tens of millions of working families in this country. Back in 1944, in a State of the Union address, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of our very greatest presidents, he said something very profound. And in so many words, what he said is, you know, we have a Constitution, it's a great Constitution, guarantees freedom of speech, freedom of religion, etc. But what we need to do is incorporate it into our values, the understanding that economic rights are human rights. We are the richest country on earth, and new technologies are going to make us even richer. There is no excuse for children in America going hungry. There is no excuse for elderly people not being able to afford their prescription drugs. There is no excuse for 800,000 people sleeping out on the streets. Now, what the establishment does, and that is the media and all of the corporate world, they want to tell you that you're not entitled to anything. That life is a struggle, that it's dog eat dog, and if you were born poor or working class, tough luck. Well, I have a different vision for America. And that is, we have got to end this corrupt campaign finance system, overturn Citizens United. And move to public funding of elections. Elon Musk should not be funding our elections. We have got to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality. We're not going to give tax breaks to billionaires. We're going to demand they start paying their fair share of taxes. We're not going to tolerate tens of millions of workers trying to get by on starvation wages. We're going to raise the federal minimum wage to a living wage. All over this country, workers want to join unions. Because when you're in a union, you get better wages, better benefits, better working conditions. We're going to pass legislation that stops corporations from acting illegally against workers who want to join unions. A lot of people in Washington are talking about cutting Social Security. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security. Now, some of the young people here may not know it, but not so many years ago, if you had a job, you would often have what's called a defined pension benefit. In other words, you worked and part of the benefits were that when you retired, you know you got a check every month for a certain amount. We got to bring back defined pension benefits. And when we talk about where we want to go as a country, I want everybody here to understand we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a human right. This is not a radical idea. We are spending twice as much per capita on health care as the people of other nations, and yet 85 million, and many of you here, are uninsured or underinsured. Large deductibles, yes? The function of a rational healthcare system is not to make huge profits for the insurance companies and the drug companies. We need a Medicare for all single-payer program. All over this country, in Vermont and all over this country, we've got a major housing crisis. It's not just that 800,000 are homeless. 20 million Americans are spending 50% of their limited incomes on housing. That's crazy. Instead of spending $1 trillion a year on the military, let's build 5 million units of low-income and affordable housing. We live in a competitive global economy. We need the best educated workforce on earth. It is beyond absurd that young people who want to get a higher education or go to trade school have to go deeply in debt in order to do that. Anybody here dealing with student debt? Okay. Just think about it. We desperately need more doctors, more nurses, more psychologists, more dentists, more construction workers, more plumbers, more electricians. We desperately need them. People should not have to go into debt to do the work that America desperately needs. It is not a radical idea. It is not. You know, 100 years ago, working class people said, you know what, we want our kids not to be working in factories or in the fields. We demand public education. And we got that. But that stops at the 12th grade. The world has changed. We got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. We want the best educated population on earth. From child care to public schools to higher education. That's what we should be doing. Now, Donald Trump, in his genius, thinks that climate change is a hoax. We know it is an existential threat. And we know we can create millions of good-paying jobs, transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. All right. My point in going through all of those, and there's a lot more we could discuss, but my point in going through those things is to tell you that economic rights, the right of all of our people, our men, women, and children, our older people, our sick people, to live in security and dignity is not a radical idea. Back in 1857, Frederick Douglass. You all remember Frederick Douglass? He was a great abolitionist, and in 1857, they were in the middle, obviously, of this great struggle to end slavery. And I want you to hear what he said, because what he said back in 1857 in the fight against slavery is as relevant today as it was then. This is what he said. Listen carefully. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. pretty relevant today, isn't it? In other words, all that Douglas is saying, they ain't going to give you nothing. They want it all. And unless we stand up together and tell them, sorry, this country belongs to all of us, not just the billionaire class, unless we bring our people together, we will never achieve the goals that we want. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that 99% is a hell of a larger number than 1%. So if we stand together and not let them divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation, if we stand together, we can defeat Trumpism, we can defeat authoritarianism, we can defeat oligarchy, we can create a new nation. Thank you all very much.